Hi, I'm Glyn from MrGlyn's Pickups, and today I'm going to have a chat with Tony Pepers from Pepers Pedals in Dunedin. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. Thank you. Hi Tony, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad, man. I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, nice to talk to you. Now we've never actually met, but I've heard about your pedals, and I've seen stuff on Instagram and on Facebook, and people are talking about them. You seem to be a pretty big cheese or up and coming anyway in the metal world, I'd say.
Yeah. Yep.
So how did you start? How did you start making pedals?
I started like most people started. I bought a kit set from General Guitar Gadgets in the US and put it together and went, oh wow, this is pretty easy. And then just sort of put that aside. That sort of worked. That was a big muff. Put that aside. And I was like, that's pretty fun. And then didn't really think of it. I was playing in a band. I played bass, and I was just like, maybe I want to play with pedals a bit more. And then just sort of started looking up schematics and bits and pieces. And I'll start back. I've always been into electronics, like since I was like 5. Like I used to go to the tip and pull things apart and get the LEDs out and like solder it all up. And I had my own little workshop. And that was running off a 12-volt car battery, and everything was all running off that. So I've always been into it. Just sort of that love of electronics and putting it together with music and doing something with it is what I'm all about. Like, yeah.
Okay. So what's so cool about electronics?
I don't know. I think it's just like I just love messing around with electronics. Like I've just always done it. Like I used to do the Dick Smith kit sets back when I was 8, 9, 10, soldering bits and pieces, and I was just for some reason I just love gadgets and messing around with electronics and making things work. Seeing something that was all just raw parts, put it together, and it's like a functional thing is really cool.
Right. See, I think there's a little element of witchcraft in because you can't see anything move.
That's right. Yeah.
It's electrons, and I kind of have a fascination with pickups for that reason.
Yeah.
That this
pickups cool. Yeah.
Thin wire generates such a teeny amount of electricity.
Yeah.
But then you fire it a few times, and you've got
magic.
Rock, yeah, magic, yeah. So from that start, I mean, how did you start Pepers Pedals?
The alliteration, as in, I don't know. I just built something and showed a friend of mine. He's like, "That's really cool. Could you make me one?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay." Made him that, and then his friends saw that, and they're like, "Oh, Tony made that." I didn't even have a name back then for the first 20 or so. And I was like, "Oh, like, I guess this is me. I'm just doing this sort of thing." And that was on strip board, like Vero board, this stuff.
Yeah.
And this is site strip board layouts, like a blogspot website, and it has hundreds and hundreds of fuzz pedals and bits and pieces on there. And I just find something that I'd like on there, and I'd like to hear what that sounds like, build it up, and then someone's like, "Oh yeah, I'll take that." I'm like, "Okay, all right." That sort of spiraled out of control into what it is now. Like, so I think 1,600 pedals later, like, yeah.
So the name Pepers Pedals, obviously it's your name.
Yep.
Did you go through? It's like naming a band, isn't it? Like, did you go through any?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, just sort of, it's a P and a P, and it works. Like it rolls off the tongue. But...
No, fair enough. No, I just thought of, yeah. So that's quite a lot of pedals. Like 20 odd pedals is quite a lot before you even thought of putting a name to them. And
well, it's just it still is a hobby. Like it's just it's a hobby out of control now. But it was just me messing around with electronics. That's all I want. It was a real world application for me to just tinker, and that's like it's awesome. Like I love it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, hobbies out of control.
Yeah.
Ends up, yeah, you're gonna have to do it full time, aren't you?
Yeah.
So I've had a look at your website. I mean, you mentioned Fuzz Pedals before. There's a lot of fuzzes in the world, isn't there?
There's definitely a lot of fuzzes in the world. Yeah.
It seems to be, yeah, and they seem to be quite popular. I mean, there's the basis of them, isn't there? What are they? A tone bender and a fuzz face and
a big muff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how close or far from those would you say? I mean, you take that, is that your template, or?
Yeah, depending on what I'm building. I like most of my stuff. I say most of my stuff is modified clones with extra options. Like a lot of builders out there, I'm not reinventing the wheel. I just take what I think. I'll just change a few things and see how that goes. And I'm like, no, I don't really like that, and just sort of add more bass or cut more treble or whatever I want to do. Add more gain, change diodes, bits and pieces until I get it sounding how I want it to sound. And I sort of jump off from there, and then it just evolves, and I'll tweak it over the years. Like I'm up to this is version 2 of this pedal, but it's actually more like version 5, which is the Russian Doom machine.
Oh yeah.
Is, the green Russian, big muff green Russian, with a few extra little bits and pieces in there. It now has a blend control, and it has a mids control, clipping control, and just I've adjusted things in the tone stack to how I want it to sound. I've changed the gain stages a bit, but essentially it's a green Russian big muff. Like that's the sound it does, but it does a little bit more.
Yeah, all those changes you described, saying it's a big muff clone is a bit like saying all rock bands are AC/DC or Black Sabbath clones, isn't it?
Yeah.
So kind of taking a template and going, yeah, I can do this with it. I can change it. I can.
Yeah. Just have a play, have a tinker, but yeah.
So what do the two switches do on that?
So we've got a mid switch, which is a cut or boost or flat for the mids, and then you've got a clipping. I'll put it up there so you can see it. I've got a clipping switch, which changes the first gain stage clipping to either silicon diode LED with the red and the green LED, or no diode, which opens it right up, which gives you can give you a massive sound, especially on bass. Like a lot of bass players use those pedals. You'll hear that pedal on quite a few bands around New Zealand. I think Planet of the Dead they use that pedal on bass. I can't think. You put me on the spot. Like I'll put myself on the spot. I forget how many bands use it. Swamp Dweller. There's a band from Dunedin called Swamp Dweller that use that pedal on bass. Another band called Yarn Spinner from Christchurch. They use all three stringed instruments use that pedal. So there's plenty of bands using it.
Yeah.
It's not my most popular build. It's my second most popular build.
Okay.
But it was my most popular build until it got overtaken. Yeah.
I can see that blend control. Actually, that's
magic. So good.
Because you've got all the dirt, but you've still got your punch. It's great.
Yeah, especially for bass. So you can just dial in how much bass you want, how much dirt you want, and you can still retain the bass sound as well.
Yeah. So what's your most popular pedal?
My most popular pedal is this one, which is the Dirty Tree, which is it's based off the TC Electronics integrated preamp, and it's a clean boost running at 33 volts. with a a charge pump inside it, boosts a 9 volt to 33 volts. And like I don't know, for whatever reason, my one sounds better than everyone else's one that people make them, and they for some reason the way I've done it, even though we all go off the same schematics, my one just I think I'll have to look at the numbers, but I've made over 200, 250, maybe even 300 of them. Right. Yeah.
And it's a clean boost.
Clean boost, yeah.
Yeah.
Loved by metal players that want to get that modern metal sound, pushing a high gain amp like a Mesa, like dual rec or whatever, triple rec, dual rec, yeah.
Okay. There's a lot to that. I've been working on a pickup for extreme metal, and been working with a guy, Raj, at a recording studio here called.
Oh yeah, I know Raj. Yeah.
There you go. And there's been lots of prototypes going back and forth, and it's fascinating for me because I've heard that kind of music, but I haven't heard the guitar isolated.
Right. Yeah.
The double kick just dominates everything for years. Right. But hearing a guitar isolated is fascinating.
Yeah.
And all that bottom end, it's all about that tightness and immediacy.
It's the tight, yeah.
It's for a pickup maker, it's a real challenge.
Yeah, right, yeah. I wouldn't even know where to start, to be honest, to do what you're doing with pickups. Like I wouldn't even know where to start.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't know where to start with a pedal. I just step on. We'll have to combine.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
When I get this pickup,
I'll stick a pickup on the front of the pedal and you just tap
it. Yeah, that'll do. Yeah. So you sell a lot of pedals in the US. How did that come about?
I do a lot of. I've got quite a bit of social media presence, posting in groups and just chatting away with people, and one guy in particular picked up one of my pedals, and he at the time he had a growing YouTube channel. Now I think he's like he's got 4,500 subscribers, and he's just like, this pedal's like the greatest thing. And then just sales just went like yeah. Cool. It's all about cross promotion and YouTube and social media and all that. It's just I don't advertise. I don't need to. Yeah.
But I think it's all about having a really good product first.
Well, yeah, that helps as well, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's plenty of products out there that they do push advertising, and I don't know how well they go with sales, but yeah.
Yeah. Hey, question for probably for all pedal makers, but buffer versus true bypass.
Both.
Okay. Why?
Yeah. They both have very different applications. So for, say, a delay pedal, you'd probably want a buffered system so you can have your delay trails in the effect rather than cutting it off dead when you turn your pedal off.
Yeah.
True bypass has its flaws like anything else. You get switch pop, which can be worked around, but you don't get that with a buffered pedal. So I mean, I work with both. I also do relay bypass and true bypass, which is a different beast in itself, using a little miniature relay to do the switching. Essentially, it's true bypass, but it's not using the clunky switch.
Right.
But yeah, like I use both. Simple fuzz pedal, true bypass. Yeah, something a bit more complicated, delay, modulation, bits and pieces. If you want to have after effects when you turn the effects pedal off, buffered bypass.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a really nice, simple answer for people like
me. Application is 100% of the. You choose. You got all the tools in the toolbox to choose from. So if one thing doesn't work, try another thing.
Yeah. Right.
And there's so much information out there now that, like, there's a lot of misinformation, but there's a lot of information out there as well that you cherry pick from, and like, you know, you make your own, sort of way of all that. You just sort of, yep, I'll take all of that and.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So from what I've seen, I've been following you on Instagram for a while. You make batches of pedals.
I do, yeah. I might do a run of like a tube, sorry, not a tube screw, a treble booster. Like I did 40 of these, the GEB or the GEB or the JEB, whatever you want to call it, which is a Germanium, full range Germanium treble booster. Just
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
So it's like your Rangemaster, but you've got control over the range, so you can dial it in how much treble or how much bass you want to add into that. And it's using a slightly different circuit that I sort of developed, which uses two lower gain, easy to find germanium transistors in what they call a Darlington pair, which puts one transistor cascaded into the next one to give you more gain. So rather than trying to find the hard to find expensive germanium transistors that are in other triple boosters, these are like Ukrainian stock, off the shelf, easy to find, medium gain, but then I put it into this and boost it up.
It's like stacking overdrives.
Yeah, basically that's like two boosters in one, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. And are they still made?
Germanium transistors?
Yeah.
I want to say no, as far as I know, just simply because the only thing they're really used in is like guitar pedals, and that's a pretty niche market. I think everything is NOS, new old stock. But I could be wrong. I don't, like someone could be making them somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a big thing back in the 80s. I remember when we were all being told that valves were stopped being made, and there wouldn't be any valve amps in the future, and that was that.
Yeah. Now in 2021, they're still making them.
Yeah. So we'll see. So germanium versus silicon, what's the difference?
Germanium can be a bit noisier. That's less stable, which is a good and a bad thing.
What does less stable mean?
Like temperature stability. Like it'll vary in noise and gain and bits and pieces depending on temperatures. That's why they went away from germanium and went to silicon. It's a more stable element. You get a bit of I guess you got to use all those words that they use, like rich, warm, all that sort of stuff. But silicon's a bit sort of sharper, whereas the germanium sort of rounds it off a bit more on the so it smooths it out, makes it a bit warmer, more tube like, or whatever you want to say, however you want to describe it. But
you've got to be careful with language, isn't it? Because it often sounds judgmental.
Oh yeah.
Like I really like light-bodied electric guitars. So I like that open, airy sound. Whereas I think heavy-bodied sounds tight and precise.
Right. Yeah.
Which isn't what I like. Yeah, but from dealing with 25 years of repairing guitars and dealing with customers, I've kind of developed those little phrases like tight and precise versus sort of open and loose.
Yeah.
Not judgmental. It's like, which do you like?
Yeah.
Without stating like,
tone is such a subjective and it's a very user-defined thing. Like people are like, oh, what's the best overdrive? It's like all of them or none of them. Like there is no best. Like the best is the one that you plug in and that sounds good. But something else might come along that sounds good too. Not better, not worse, just good. Like, you know,
Yeah.
and it's you know, there's a lot of people out there that are like, oh, this is the best, or the best. Like, there's no such thing as the best, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think the secret is just try a load of gear. Just trial
Oh
it.
yeah, and
Find what you like.
there's so much gear out there. Like, it's crazy. It's just, if you have a super fine niche for X, there's gonna be that. You'll be able to find it. Like, yeah.
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 Yeah. So when you test a pedal, what do you? I mean, I see you got a. Well, we've got an SG behind you.
I've got there's a CR120. There's a Holden 50.
And it's a Holden.
There's a Holden 50. Yeah, and a JCM 800. And I've got a Sun Beta just down beside me down here, which is probably the only one in the country, I think. I don't know, I could be wrong, but I haven't seen any Sun Beta bass heads anywhere.
Right.
And then I've got a couple of DIY things that I've built, solid state in a tube. And I just sort of test through a lot of stuff. I have sort of my main test set up. If I'm just doing, like, if I've done a run and I'll just go test them, I've got a loop pedal, it just plays a loop. And then I just plug in, and I'll A/B them with each other. I've got a wee A/B switch. Just make sure everything sounds the same at the same levels, and just, you know, compare. And that can take quite a while, actually. Like, you finish building 50 pedals, and then it takes you half an afternoon to test them all.
and you do that.
And I don't put the knobs on until I've tested them, because I've been burnt in the past. Where you go through and you build them all, and you put the backs on, all the knobs on, and you go through and test it. It's not working right. All right. Throw that in the bin. Well, not the bin, the come back to later bin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, design of the graphics and stuff.
Yep.
It's
up until
big thing with pedal.
Up until like the start of this year, most of the stuff is just me doing it. I've actually just sort of, I won't say employed, but I've got a dude in the US that's doing artwork for me, and I'm paying him money. So he's doing some artwork stuff for me, coming out with some really nice, cool things, which will be on my newer pedals that are coming out. I'll probably rehash some of the older ones, or I might retire them to make way for new stuff. Like, I'll just sort of, as things stop selling, I'll just, you know. But yeah, artwork is a big thing on pedals. Like, yeah.
So you mentioned new things. Now, recently on Instagram or on Facebook, you have been taunting us with new stuff.
Yeah. I don't.
Taunting is the word.
What's that?
Taunting is definitely the word.
Teasing.
Really, you've quite enjoyed the process of showing us little bits of them without revealing.
Yeah. So I have a new HM2 based pedal that I'm bringing out. That I've sort of been developing for a couple of years, off and on, mainly off because I've been busy doing other stuff. But yeah, it's gonna be pretty good. Yeah, I haven't got the enclosures yet for it, but they're getting printed at the moment. So if I get them in time before the video is, I'll send you a photo. But I don't know. Don't know if I will.
Yeah. You don't have to, and I don't want you to say anything you don't want to say.
Yeah. As far as I've got a PCB here, which is the guts out of one of them. That is version 1.1 of the PCB. So I haven't tested that yet, but version 1.0 worked fine. So I don't see any reason why that was just me changing a few wee things to get it to work better as a build. Yeah, so
I couldn't help noticing there are 8 knobs on that.
There is 8 knobs on that. There's also 4 dip switches on the back. Yeah.
Right.
And there's also a wee slot on the back that you can plug an expansion into.
What would that do?
Adds an extra 4 EQ bands.
Wow.
Yeah. But that's an additional bonus feature, I guess. It's just there in case. I'm sort of doing that on a lot of stuff now. I've got another pedal here that I'm working on, which is almost ready. This is the Harmonic Convergence, which is like a cocked wah. So like you get your wah and you just leave it in one spot.
Yeah.
So it's like a filter, but it's 2 of them in one pedal. But that also has a wee slot on the back there.
Can you just hold that right in the middle of the,
sorry. Yeah.
right in the middle of the screen time?
So that also has a slot on the back for bonus stuff for later. I'm thinking about sticking a reverb in there as well.
So that's a kind of like the cock wah thing, like a sort of mid boost.
It's not so much a boost. It's pretty much unity. It's a little bit more than unity, but it's more a dual filter, so you can get some real wild sounds out of it. Especially with the 2 frequencies, you can go high and low on one, and then you can blend between the two frequencies, and you can also blend between your clean and your affected sound as well. Yeah. Yeah. I should send you one. I'll send you one to play on. I'll send you one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's got this funky little switch in the middle here, with the picture of an eye, and that turns on 2 what they call LDRs, which are light dependent resistors, on the back. So if that's your pedal there, you got your foot. You can bring your foot up to it like that, and it changes the frequencies with light as you're moving your foot in front of it. So that's pretty cool.
So how would that sound? So that would change the frequency.
It just adjusts. It's just like wiggling those pots, but you're doing it with your foot. Yeah.
Or a trained mouse, or
or a torch or whatever. Yeah, like you can do whatever. Yeah. So it's just something I sort of made it for like the noise rock sort of guys, because you can get some funky sounds out of it. Yeah. It's gone from I was just going to do a cocked wah effect to like now it's over the top, and then I want to stick a reverb in there as well to make it even more over the top. Just cause.
Because stuff like reverb and that hasn't, from looking at what you normally do, that's not quite your.
Not really, no.
And that sort of thing, I isn't really what you do, or usually.
I could probably count the reverbs on the fingers that I've done. Yeah. But it's a hard one because it's always a digital effect, and well, I mean, you can do it with a spring if you want, but then you got to have a big spring, the realm of digital effects is a whole other world. Like, yeah. Yeah. To do it properly, you need to learn how to program and bits and pieces. Get into DSP. Yeah, I don't have the time to do that sort of thing.
Yeah. No, fair enough. You need to be doing it full time, don't you?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, like, look at a pedal like I don't know, like the POG. The Electro Harmonics POG. Like, they've got a whole team of development engineers. They're coming up with algorithms and programming these chips, and I can't compete with that.
Really, the POG is fun. A mate of mine has one. I've had a little go, but it's like, oh yeah, that was a really fun 20 minutes, but I don't think I want one.
Oh yeah, it definitely serves a purpose. But if you're not into that, then you're not into that.
Yeah. Well,
it's like any pedal. There's a pedal out there for everyone, isn't there?
Yeah. Well, several for most of us, I think.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you can't. I think you can't have too many. I mean, I've restricted myself.
I mean, you can have too many. Yeah.
Okay, maybe you can have too many. but I haven't got there yet. So, rocket socket. Tell me about that.
Oh, the rocket sockets. I've got some here. These guys here. So that was because my background is in trades and like engineering. I'm an electrician by trade. I work at a gold mine. I'm quite I'm not I don't have the gentlest of touch when it comes to doing things. What would you call that? Ham-fisted, maybe? I don't know.
How could you? No, I mean, that can't be completely true, or you wouldn't be able to make the stuff.
Oh, I can do that, but I mean, I sort of, I tend to be a little bit clumsy as well, and I damage things. And I was using a lot of metal tooling early on, and I was scratching paintwork and ruining artwork, and I was like, how the hell am I going to stop doing this? Like, and I thought I was looking at, I was scrolling through Facebook or something, and a 3D printer ad popped up, and I was like, oh yeah. And then I thought, it's like, what if I could like 3D print something out of plastic to do this job, you know? And it's only, I only have to tighten it up a little bit. Like I'm not doing up wheel nuts on a car. So I ordered a 3D printer. It was a kit set thing that I built, and that was fun. That was a whole other rabbit hole to go down to 3D printing. So yeah, bought a 3D printer, printed out these things, and they worked perfectly. And I was like, sweet, cool. Then just left it at that. And then it was actually Lee from Lightning Wave that said, why don't you like sell these? I'm like, no one will be interested. Like, you know, like they're not that great. Like, whatever. And then I printed out some for him and gave them to him, and he shared it on Instagram. And everyone's like, where can I get them? I want these. You know, like I was like, oh well, there might actually be some traction here. So the first couple of 100 sets were 3D printed, and they only came in, I think I did 5 sizes. I did 8mm for a toggle switch, 10mm for a potentiometer. I think it was 12mm, and it might have been that's for a jack, audio jack, and it might have been 14mm for a stomp switch. And then I think I did the one printer run off like 250 sets of those, and then I just thought, oh yeah, that'll do, and then just sort of put it to rest again. And then because 3D printing it takes a lot of time, so one set was taking like 5 hours to print out. So like it's a very slow process. Like it just sort of prints away. It's not really designed for production. If anything, it's just prototyping, which is why I bought it. You know, it's fun to play. I print all sorts of things. One thing I print is templates. Like this is a drilling template. I just slip it over the enclosure, bang, bang, bang. Yeah, like it. Just a super thing I whipped up in CAD and just printed out. So I sort of going back to the rocket sockets. I left them for dead pretty much. I was, oh yeah, whatever. And then I sort of some other guy started making them, and I was like, oh yeah, whatever. And then I thought, oh, I wonder if I can get these like injection molded. How much it would actually cost, like to get these injection molded and make a proper like sturdy tool like out of these. So I went out to, there's a place in Mosgiel just outside of Dunedin, JTech Plastics. I went out and talked to the guy out there, went through all the process of how we're going to do this, how much do you think it's going to cost, is it viable, like do you think you can do it, all this sort of thing. And then I launched a Kickstarter after that because I knew I had a figure in mind. So I launched a Kickstarter, got the Kickstarter backed, got the mold made, shipped the first 500 sets, and then I was like, right, okay, it's all paid for itself now. Let's see where this goes. And then it's just gone from strength to strength. Like it's just, I've shipped 3,000 sets of rocket sockets.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought?
Yeah, like going from me from being like clumsy and a bit rough and damaging artwork, and then you're like, have you got a set of them? I don't know if you have a set, do you?
No.
I should send you a set of them, and you'll be like, these are awesome.
Right, right.
Because working on guitars as well, like you don't need to do up the nuts with a crescent, like just done, you know.
Yeah,
You
no,
don't-
I've got one of those little things which is I should describe it. It's a small plate, and it's got like a V and with sort of serrated edge one side.
Oh right, yeah.
So you can tighten those, and it's good for tightening up the toggle switches with the round build.
Right.
It'll grip on pretty much anything. I use quite a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
With a bit of masking tape around it, it kind of prevents things from.
Yeah, well, plastic's not going to scratch. Like you just, but yeah.
I did have a thing once, a plastic thing that was for jack sockets for 335s, and what it was supposedly do was a pin went in the middle to hold the jack while the outside would tighten up the nut.
Okay. Yeah.
With an ES335, you can't hold the back of the jack socket while you tighten it.
Right. Yeah.
And that thing was just too soft, and it just. Okay. So what I do for that is I've got a 6mm expanding bolt that you put in a wall.
Oh, look at
the ones that open up like that.
Yep.
Because that's a 6mm. The jack socket 6.3. Slots it, tighten it, and then I can that holds the jack while I use a spanner on it.
Yeah.
So that's what
it's ingenuity in it, like.
Hmm?
Yeah. Ingenuity, you know.
Oh.
Yeah.
But you know what it's like when you're working on something, you end up thinking about what's the best way I can do this.
All the time. How can I improve this? Yep. Yeah. All the time.
You spend a lot of time working on things, and so you actually do spend a lot of time doing that.
Yeah. I'm always thinking about how am I going to make this faster? This is a pain. Like, how am I going to make this? Yeah.
And a lot of the time, you know how to answer that question, but it's not worthwhile. It involves big production to do that.
That's right. One of the things I have done. Where is it? I have it sitting right here as well. One of the things I have done recently is like switch to surface mount components. Okay. Because it's just so much faster. You don't have to bend resistor legs and like, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Modern day, like, and people, as long as you use like a film capacitor where a film capacitor needs to be, and don't use a surface mount one, a surface mount resistor is no different to a through-hole resistor. Yeah. A surface mount operational amplifier is no different to a through-hole operational amplifier. It's the exact same part in a different package. It does the same job. People, the purists are like, oh, the surface mount, it's, yeah. You're on a cell phone full of those parts and they work just fine.
Yeah. As long as you know where that attention needs to be, the detail. Yeah. Hey, do you?
Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to talk about one of the conversations I had with somebody else. We were talking about the state of mind when you're fixing stuff.
Yeah.
Do you find that you do that? You have days when you're really good, and you have days when you're kind of not quite as good.
Yep.
And I think those processes that we're talking about and tools and easy ways of doing things, one of my kind of missions on doing that is that I can be still really good on a bad day. If you see what I mean.
Because the tool's taking out all the work.
Hopefully, tools and jigs.
Yeah. Jigs are good, yeah.
Yeah. Like your drilling thing.
Oh yeah, like this is this is actually for the where is it? For the dirty tree. And like I've got to do it tonight, I've got to drill 20 of these. And if you're center punching them and all that, it just bang it on, bang, 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 bang. It's ready to go, just drill it out. Like all the holes are in the right spots every time. It just makes so much more sense. Like, yeah. The next step up is to get it all CNC'd, like the enclosures CNC'd, but yeah, I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
I don't mind drawing them at home. it's quite relaxing sitting there drilling pedals. Like, but depending on what frame of mood you're in, just like you said before, yeah, you got to be in the right mind.
Yeah. Well, maybe you can make, relaxation videos for people where you can demonstrate the use of the drill.
Slow motion drilling. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
With gentle music.
I mean, the way you're going, anything could happen, mate.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
It's really cool. It's really cool what you've managed to achieve.
Yeah. Like it's still just for me. It's just me messing around with electronics, tinkering, like even like just sitting down, soldering up a board. Like I just it's great. Designing a board on CAD, like all that stuff. I've had no formal training in PCB CAD as such, but like I sort of know my way around everything. I mean, I'm an electrician, which doesn't really mean anything, and as part in terms of electrical engineering. But I still know how stuff works, like yeah.
That's because you fiddled taking stuff apart when you were a kid.
Yeah.
I did too.
And I used to have to I was forced to put it back together as well sometimes. Like, right, you've taken it apart, now put it back together.
Yeah, that's the hard thing. Yeah. When my daughter was, I think she was 3, she's 7 now. I think when she was 3, we got out of the car and she said, "Dad, how do engines work?" Brilliant. So let's get one. So we got an old lawnmower motor.
Right, yeah.
For nothing. I didn't care if it worked. We were going to take it apart. I wasn't going to put it back together. So we sort of tried to take that apart together to see what. She was a bit young for it, I think, but there was another mate's lad was there with us, and he was probably 7 or 8. No, he's probably 7 at the time.
Yeah.
And we'd taken it apart, and he suddenly saw how a cam worked.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, that moves, and then this goes up and down, and it's a brilliant moment.
Yeah. Well, my 5-year-old, he's obsessed with batteries and stuff like that. Like, he's probably just going to follow my footsteps. He learned how to use a screwdriver before he was 2. Like, yeah, that's my youngest son. My other son, he's not into it as much. But if you're not into it, you're not into it.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, I can't fault him for that. Yeah.
I mean, you don't. There's a lot of pedal makers anyway,
Yeah, I don't want to compete with family.
And there are a lot. I mean, so many.
Oh yeah, they're popping up all the time. Yeah.
In the world of Kemper and Line 6 that were before that, and all that digital stuff, and pedals were going to die out, but they've never been more popular.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's like groups on Facebook with 50. I don't know. The Pedal Boards of Doom's got like 50,000 members in there or something. Like, it's just all pedal related, And there's hundreds of groups out there on Facebook with all these people in them, and it's big business. Like, it's big.
Well, Pepper's Pedals Party.
Yeah.
Your Facebook group has got 624 members. In fact, 25 because I joined earlier on.
Oh yeah. And I only really set that up. I set that up because Facebook kept annoying me and said, "Set up a group for your page." And I'm like, "Oh, do I have to?" But I only really set that up for people that bought the rocket sockets from the Kickstarter. So I had somewhere to host, because I built a PCB that went with it as well. So I had somewhere to host the files for that, like the bill of materials for that PCB. So I only really started up for that. But it's a good general discussion place as well. Like, I put little teaser. If I put a big teaser on my page, I'll put more information in my group. So it pays to be in the group as well. Yeah.
Ah, cool. I'll feel less teased now.
Yeah. So generally, if I'm not too busy, if I put a little teaser up there, I'll put a big teaser up there. Or if I say I might do something here, I'll say I will do it in the group. and the group gets a bit. And if I've put something on my website and haven't put it on my page, I put it in the group first, so they have sort of first dibs as well. Yeah.
Oh, that's decent. I'll put a link to this YouTube on there.
Yeah.
Sure, they'd be interested.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm sure, yeah, heaps of people were like, is that what he looks like?
Yeah. Well, I haven't got a picture of you on your pedals, so yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah. But yeah, I'm just one dude in my garage making pedals. Yeah. Sometimes it's the kitchen bench, the kitchen table. Sometimes it's the garage, depending on what month of the year it is. Yeah.
Well, you do make. I mean, from the demos I've seen and from what people say, I've never played through any of your pedals, but it looks like you're doing well, which is really good to see.
Yeah.
Good on you, mate.
Thanks. Oh, I'm scratching my foot because I stood on halfway through an interview. I put my foot down. I didn't wear my slippers, and there's a little bit of resistor lead or something stuck in my heel.
You should have.
I'm like, oh, just trying to pull it out. Every time I move my foot, it just changes position. Like,
That'd have been really funny. I might stick this bit at the end.
The bloopers. That's the downfall of working with all the bits that you cut off. You always end up standing on them.